Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're doing something totally different, but it was a requested video, and that is how I smoke my ribs, because Patty's been talking up on our midweek update the ribs that we do on our Traeger Timberline Ridgeline. I don't know, it's one of the lines XLs that I picked up at Costco, and they have been coming out great. So I said, you know what? Ribs is something you can do at your campsite, especially if you're carrying a small smoker with you. So I thought, let's go ahead. I think it's very simplistic what I do. I don't think there's really any secrets other than maybe one, and it's really not that big of a secret. So today we're going to start with some ribs. I am using a St. Louis style rib that I picked up at Costco. This is a 3-pack, and we are going to smoke all 3 slabs of ribs here. Today is a Tuesday. We do this thing here at the campground I started a couple months ago, where every other Tuesday we have staff dinner up at the pavilion, where one of us will cook an entree and everybody else brings side dishes. And it's just a nice way for the crew who works really hard here at Happy Acres Campground to get together once every couple weeks and break bread and enjoy each other's company in a non-work setting. And so that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to have these ribs. So I'm going to get these out here. I'm just going to go ahead, pour those juices out, put this in the trash can, and prep on these is pretty easy. Now these are going to end up smoking in my Traeger for between 5 and 6 hours, and the times will vary based upon lots of things, including what's going on outside temperature wise. So you just kind of have to play it by ear. But the first thing we need to do here before we even get to the smoking part is we're going to trim these up just a little bit. And so I'm going to throw my rib here. So these are the St. Louis style. It's a spare rib where they've cut off the one side. I like these because they're nice and meaty. Lots of bones, will feed a lot of people. Some people like the baby back ribs, but I have really grown to love these St. Louis. If you want, you can buy the whole spare rib a little bit cheaper, and then you can go through the process of trimming off all that. I like buying them already trimmed. All I really do is usually at one end, it'll be a little bit thin, and what's going to happen is that's all going to just kind of dry out. It's not going to be something people are going to want to eat. So usually what I do is I just kind of come in here, square these off to give myself a nice straight cut. You can either save these leftovers, use them for something like, throw them in baked beans or something like that. So if you're worried about wasting, there are ways you could use it. Come over here. This one actually is fairly well trimmed. There's just this little flap right here. Again, it's just something that's going to end up drying out. So we'll just trim that right there. Nice square. That looks pretty good there. And then our third one, okay, you can see right down here again, just a little bit of a cleanup. Now, if you don't want to cut that off, if you want to leave it on there and munch on it if it gets hard, that's fine. It's really your call. That's what I like to do. Next thing we need to do is flip the rib over. And I think there is great debate about, do you leave the membrane on? Do you take the membrane off? I'm a membrane off kind of guy. And even though it's kind of a pain, what you're wanting to do is once you get that membrane started, this is probably the hardest part, is just getting it started. Sometimes I'll take like a little knife, but once you get that membrane started, just like I am right here, then what I like to do is take a piece of paper towel, come in there with the paper towel, because then you can actually get better hold of it. Right there, and there we go. You can see the whole membrane, if you're lucky, will just pull off. And then now we don't have that, which I just think when it's time to eat, then you don't have that kind of crispy piece flapping on the back side. So we'll end up removing the membrane on the other two, but to save you time, I'm just going to go ahead, and I see another piece here, I'm just going to kind of trim off. Like I said, I like to square these up. Just a little piece there. Okay, so now I mentioned the real secret to my ribs, I think, is nothing that I do other than this step right now, which is the seasonings that we're going to be using. And right now I am hooked on Meat Church seasonings. You may have already bought these and used them before. There's a whole line. But the two I'm going to use for these ribs, what I've been using, is the Gospel. Now, there is one called Holy Gospel. That's different. We use just the Gospel. It's going to be sweet. It just has a great flavor. In fact, I love this stuff so much I've been putting it on French fries as opposed to salt. It just really has a good flavor. And then I also like to use Meat Church's Blanco, which is going to be a blend of like salt and pepper and garlic. And so I always put Gospel on first because it has the bigger pepper, and we want that bigger pepper to attach first so we get a good bark on here, and then we'll come back with the finer stuff. And I just do a shake kind of like this. I always do the bone side first. And make sure we got it coated. And then I'm going to set that off to the side here. I'm going to come in here with my Blanco. And now the Blanco you have to be really careful on because this stuff is super fine and you can get way too much on. And again, it's a salt, pepper, garlic type blend. Just like that. And now what I'm going to do, you could just let these set for 10 or 15 minutes to let it adhere. But because we're kind of in a hurry making this video for you, I'm just going to pat it down. I'm going to flip it over. And now, I'll wipe my hands off. Come back on the other side, once again with the Gospel. Just like this. A nice even coating. And I usually go back over it, because this is really where the flavor is going to come from. And to me, for a good rib, it's flavor and it's tenderness. And so the flavor is going to come from our seasonings, and then the tenderness is going to come from the cook that we're going to do out there on the Traeger. Now I'm going to let these actually set for probably 15 minutes. It's going to get wet, meaning it's soaking in all these, and then I'm going to go ahead and then we'll later throw these on the grill. So actually these I'm going to wrap up because it's only going on 9 o'clock in the morning. These are going to set for about 2.5 hours. And then Patty is actually going to be taking over for me on the old Traeger because I have to run to work this afternoon for a couple hours. So she's going to get these going. We're going to be smoking these at 250 degrees. We're going to go about 3 hours. And then we're going to pull them, we'll wrap them, and then we're going to put them back on for somewhere between 2 and 3 hours before we finally pull them, throw them in a cooler, let them rest, and then it will be dinner time. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'm going to go ahead, finish these up, and then when we come back, Patty will take over out at the Traeger and get them going.
Okay, it is time for me to ignite the grill, or the smoker as you call it, the Traeger. And Patrick's at work, so he told me to put it on 250, and it's about 10:30 this morning. And so 250, and then I push ignite, and it should go for me. There it goes, igniting. So it's going to heat up in about 30 minutes. Then around 11 o'clock today, I will come back out and put the ribs on. All right, I'm back out here at the smoker, and my temperature is at 252. It's been heating up, getting good for the last half hour. I got the ribs that Patrick took care of and got them all happy this morning before he went to school. And I'm going to put those on the Traeger here. All right, everybody, I have the 3 slabs of ribs going on the smoker at 250 degrees. It's about 11 o'clock. And according to Patrick's notes, because I'm not the chef around here, and he does these so great that he told me they're going to be on here for about 3 hours. And then I think he wraps them and then puts them on a little longer. But I mean, he'll be back to talk more about that. But
well, Patty did a great job getting these ribs on the smoker for me. They've been going for about 3 hours at 250 degrees. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull them and we're going to wrap them. Now, a lot of people will wrap in foil, and I used to wrap in foil, but foil actually will help cook them quicker. So if you're in a hurry, foil might work. But what I don't like about foil is they tend to bring in moisture and you lose your bark. So today, my new trick is to use this butcher paper, and you can just pick this up at like Walmart. It's not something you have to special order or anything like that. Comes with a little built-in cutter, which is a lot easier to do if you don't have rubber gloves on. So I'm going to set that off to the side. And then the other thing that I do, get this laid out, I like to spritz the paper. It just kind of softens it up, makes it easier to work on. I'm just using water. You can use vinegar or whatever you want. I just use water, just kind of, like I said, makes it easier to work with. Let's go ahead and see how these are looking. Oh yeah, those are looking really nice. So what we want to do now is we're going to go ahead and pull these. And I'm not going to add anything at this point. When we get completely done, I will finish them up. But at this point, all I want to do is just get a somewhat tight wrap without having the bones poke through the paper. And when we put these back on the grill, what I'm going to do is we're actually going to cook now meat side down. So go ahead, just like that. And again, just spritz that a little bit and throw that right back on. I'm going to do this with the other two, and then I'm going to let these go probably at least 2 more hours. We want to have those bones pulling away all the way through the slab. We won't even probably temp them, because once you see all those bones pulling out, you know they're going to be done. They're going to be good and tender. And so we'll get these wrapped, and we'll come back when they're done. Well, we've been wrapped for 2 hours, and you can see we've thrown on a pan of beans. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just pull one of these off, and we're going to take a look. What I find is, you know, the day you're cooking on, depending on what the temperature is, sometimes you have to adjust your cooking time. So we've been on now for a couple hours, and what I don't want to do is I don't want to overcook them. So we're just going to open this up, and we're going to see what we've got, and we'll make a determination on whether we're going to pull these or not. And I just have to get this paper on there. And what I'm looking for, you see the juices, I'm looking for this right here, which is, see how those bones are all starting to pull away? And those things are getting very flexible, very pliable. And I don't want these to fall apart, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling these ribs off. I'm going to pack them in a cooler, and we're just going to let them rest. And then when we get ready for dinner time, I'm going to dust these one more time with the gospel, and that's how we're going to serve them tonight. If people want sauce on them, they can put their sauce on, but I want to serve these as a dry rub rib. That's the way we like them. You can see I've got this little Ozark Trail Yeti wannabe. It works perfect for packing whatever I'm packing, whether it's the ribs, whether it's brisket. And the thing is, it's hot out today, extreme heat here in Indiana. So these things are going to be fine right in there, resting for a while until we get ready to serve them. All right, it is dinner time up here, and we're going to go ahead and start getting these ribs prepped to serve to the crew tonight. So these have just been resting in the cooler, and hopefully they are going to be delicious. Like that flexibility on those. In fact, I almost want to fall apart. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of here, try not to make a mess. And then what I like to do with these, if you're serving them dry like we like to do, is I like to just go ahead and dust them one final time with the gospel. Just like that. There you go. Let's cut into these and see what we've got. So I'm gonna come right, find that bone. It's like right about there. And here we go. And look at that beautiful smoke ring right there. And if you can see, those are nice and tender. They're gonna pull right off the bone. You can see right there, pulling off the bone. And that's exactly what you want. You really don't want them falling off the bone. I like to be able to bite and have it just pull off. And so we're going to get these cooked up, or we're going to go ahead and get these cut up, and we're going to be serving them to the crew out here. And that is my really simple way to cook ribs, whether you're at the campsite or at your home using a pellet smoker or wood smoker, whatever you're using. You can do ribs in about 5-6 hours, and it's an easy way to feed a lot of people. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's not our normal RV video, but a few of you had requested it. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you on down the road. Bye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.